Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Basnet, the founder at Venditio, and this is the first in a series of videos called The Outcomes of Ambition. So the series is really an engaging platform that provides the viewers with actionable insights, learnings, and access to top performing sales leaders and individual contributors in the software sales space. So with that in mind, I'm really delighted to introduce Ollie Sharpe, who is the VP Revenue EMEA at SalesLoft. SalesLoft is the number one sales engagement platform, helping companies deliver a better sales experience for their customers. Does that sound about right?
It does sound about right. Yes. It's you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, if you don't mind, for people that aren't familiar with you and your background, if you just give us a bit of a bio, a bit of a rundown of the timeline of your career, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. So, well, where do I start? A long time ago, I will start. So my degree was in graphic design and business studies, wanting to open a graphic design business and do that because I love artwork and creativity. But then I did all the drawing modules and then went for a job and they asked me to do something on a computer and I was lost. So I realized that graphic design wasn't for me. It was right at that time when everything started being done digitally rather than drawing. And yeah, I'm quite old. So then I thought, what the hell do I do next? And I saw an advert for a marketing job. And I thought, yeah, I did marketing in business studies. That marketing job turned out to be a door-to-door sales job. Brilliant. So I properly fell into sales. And I went for an interview and I managed to get the job. And I spent 2 years doing door-to-door sales. And I actually enjoyed it.
What did you sell?
Promotional cards for restaurants and gyms and stuff. Pay money on the door, 6 months free and stuff. But I learned so much from it. I learned a lot from it about sales, and I did it for 2 years and built a team and stuff. And then I had to, due to injury, I had to leave the world of door-to-door sales, and I went into recruitment. I went and worked for a sales recruitment company, recruiting sales professionals and sales leaders. Spent 10 years doing that, which again taught me loads. And then while I was there, I got headhunted by LinkedIn to go and join them to sell for their talent solutions side. So I went to LinkedIn for 10 years, started as a salesperson, then moved into leadership and built teams and go to markets. And then left February 2 years ago and moved to SalesLoft in the April, where I set up the EMEA presence for SalesLoft, the sales engagement company. Brilliant. And that's my history.
I'll have to be honest. There might be a little bit of bias here because I'm a SalesLoft customer, and the interactions that I've had with the team have been fantastic so far.
That's not bias. That's just true. Let's not see that's bias.
Do you know what? As well, the 2 months that I've been doing this, it's been absolutely instrumental at keeping me on track. So I think the culture and the way the company presents itself as well. Like I often follow Kyle Porter's videos and blogs and stuff like that. I just think it's a really good proposition. So, like I say, thanks again for joining me on this today. So really, I suppose when I founded Venditio, the one thing that I really wanted to focus on is other people's outcomes. So as part of this series, I wanted to ask you what outcomes you would like to get from the video today, and really what you'd like to impart to the wider technology sales community.
I haven't come with looking for an outcome, if I'm honest. I just like talking to people, and I don't have any friends, so I'm just happy to talk to anybody. I think that I've changed a lot in my sales career. I've learned a lot and changed a lot. And I think that a lot where I've ended up, I'm not sure everybody does, and it may be unique to me, but I think there's hopefully an interesting story to tell from that, because I was your typical person going into sales, money hungry, just give me a phone, I'll bash away. And things happen in life and you get older and stuff, and you realize what's important to you. And my view and how I see my role is completely different to why I went into sales in the beginning. And it's sort of looking at the outcome sort of thing for me is that I think that salespeople, and not calling other people names, but I was very selfish when I went into sales. I think it was all about me. Yeah. And I'm coming out the other end, nothing to do with me. I'm not interested. It's more about developing other people and helping the industry change. And I think that if people can take a message away from it, that we should be looking to change the industry and do good for the sales industry, yeah, I would love that.
So how do you then, as a sales leader, help your team get their outcomes?
Understand them is the first thing. I mean, you can't. It's outcome isn't results for me. It's what understanding people's purpose and passion and what really matters to them.
Yeah.
Just because they're in sales, it doesn't mean they just want to earn a load of money. And I think that's a misconception that people do think that salespeople are all about the money. And some may be money hungry, but it's not always. There's more, hopefully more to people than that. And I realized that it wasn't just about the money, and it was about the enjoyment. And I see my team as individuals, try understand what makes them tick. I think the first step for me is making sure that they feel included and belong within my organization.
Yeah.
Second step, and I've talked too much about this in most interviews, about concentrating on their happiness.
Yeah.
And happiness normally comes down to enjoying what you do, but also being developed.
Yeah.
And to do that, you just got to understand what their outcomes that they want are before you jump in and assume they just want to earn money. It's not the case.
I didn't really want to talk about COVID, but one of the things that comes across really well from your team is what seems to be a really cohesive culture. How have you managed that in a remote environment?
We were lucky enough to start up the team prior to lockdown. So
Yeah.
we actually went into lockdown with 10 employees. Now we're at 25. So we built a hub. I think for me, it was when I learned a lot about culture at LinkedIn, a hell of a lot about how to build a collaborative culture, how to build a culture that their culture is very prominent at LinkedIn, and it's a very positive thing. I didn't think it would be when I went there, but it was fantastic that when I left, I was like, I only want to go to a company that either is proud of their culture or wants me to build a culture. If they don't know about culture, I'm not interested in joining.
Yeah.
So we really concentrated on building a culture right from the start. That was the main thing we wanted to do, and that's how I wanted our business to stand out. And part of that is a collaborative culture, as well as the fact that I was wearing a lot of different hats that probably I couldn't dedicate enough time to the people that I was taking on, that we had to work as a team, and we had to realize this was startup mentality, that you get your hands dirty, and I'm not always accessible, that you ask somebody that sits next to you how to do it. And that's how we built.
Yeah. I think with, I suppose the transition to fully remote though, what sort of processes do you or have you built in to make sure that people can communicate as effectively as possible? Is it through calls? Is it daily meetings? What would you say is a sales leader's tip?
The sales leader's tip is be agile, because what happened in the first month of lockdown what works in the first month of lockdown doesn't work now. I don't think. I think that you just got to keep changing, and we're constantly asking for feedback from the team. I mean, we first of all went in and did stand-ups 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So at 9 o'clock. And after a bit, we were like, no, we don't need 5 days a week. Let's do 3 days a week. And then we changed the structure of it. One thing we did, which I think was a good move, was in stand-ups, it was about what's your priority for the day? What blockers have you got? And what are you committing to look after your mental well-being? That's what we did day in, day out, to make sure that people weren't going, I'm working a 10-hour day and I've got all these things to do. It's like, okay, I'm going to take a walk at lunchtime. Yeah. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do meditation, whatever it is, even if it's just spending time with loved ones. We made sure that it was prominent. We also, which I think was a good thing we did, and this was at head office level right across the businesses, when at the beginning of lockdown, well, just into lockdown, we did every other Friday was a rest day, just to make sure people were looking after their mental well-being and actually recharging. It was too easy just to get at your desk and go, well, if I'm not working, what am I going to do? So we did that. We've now changed it to one a month, and the alternate one, every other 2 weeks, is a focus day where we don't have internal meetings, which again, I think is another idea. But I think with the communication side, when I say you have to change, everything was over Zoom. Everyone was sick of Zoom. I mean, we'd go, right, let's do something sociable. And we go, right, okay, what can we do? We go, right, quiz over Zoom, this, and everyone's going, no. So we're like, right, well, you've got to adapt the whole time and keep thinking and keep asking and keep talking.
Okay, I really like that. There's not just one formula or trick to doing it. You've just got to keep iterating on different things, temperature checking people's moods, really understanding them, I guess.
Look at it every month or so. Is this working, or people getting bored of it? It's so easy just to go, well, it works, and then people are bored of it. Just try something new. It's like I've moved my desk 3 times since lockdown. Every time I move my desk, it's like brilliant. It's like a new office.
Bit of variety for the
exactly.
I love it. Okay, so we'll kind of move into the next section that I'd like to focus on is really your early ambition and really the first kind of recollection you had of having to use drive, grit, and determination to get the results you wanted from your early sales career.
Mm-hmm. I mean, door-to-door sales, you can't. It was tough. I mean, peeing down with rain. You're out there. You don't have a basic salary. You're given 100 doors to knock on a day. It's winter, and you don't know where you're going or anything like this. And so that's where the grit comes through, and the ambition of. I mean, I never stood there going, "I want to be a door-to-door salesman." Believe me. But while I was doing it, I had to show the grit to be successful. Especially, I mean, you start knocking in the morning, and by 5 o'clock, you've not sold anything, and you've got to carry on going. But what it teaches you is so much. We used to have the mentality that if you have 100 doors, 10 people will buy. You've just got to find them. And every time you get a no or the door slammed in your face, you're a step closer to a yes. And it's all of these kind of things that help you build that resilience through your sales career. So that was the first part. Then when I was in recruitment, it's a very competitive market, as you know. I was doing sales recruitment, and so that's very competitive. But I just enjoyed, at the time, I enjoyed the cold calling.
Yeah.
So, but I've seen it as a real journey, because it's not just, my ambitions have changed so much throughout, and it's not just about grit. It's about how I help other people achieve. And so to me, sales isn't purely about ambition and grit. Well, it is about ambition, but I think for me, ambition becomes more purpose than ambition, because ambition at the beginning, and that's probably the wrong way of putting it, but ambition to me was like, I'm going to be number one, I'm going to do this. But purpose it understands my values and what I want to be and why. And I believe that's what happens when you mature. That, and I don't mean that patronizingly, that as you mature, you understand more about what makes you tick.
Yeah.
I realized when I wasn't as happy in my job that I actually missed the creativity of building a team, building a go-to-market, and the ambition goes from, I want to earn a lot of money and be number one. It changes to become, right, what actually do I enjoy? What do I want to deliver? And that has changed a lot in me.
Yeah, no, I get that. I suppose in terms of I really like the 100 doors thing. I see things in a very similar way myself, and I think it's a really good way of focusing the mind to deal with rejection and things like that. You know it's going to come, and obviously SalesLoft with the cadence process is a really good way to help salespeople understand what steps you need to go into. But did you always have a method or an approach, or is there something that you favor as a way of trying to map out the sales process?
You know, I've always been quite sales nerdy.
Yeah.
And it's not, to me, it wasn't about sales methodology, it was about process. That's where I was a bit nerdy. So I taught myself to build reports and dashboards in Salesforce so that I could understand that side better. Yeah. And methodologies come and go. And to me, it's more a case of just take a bit of each methodology and you can get a really good one. I don't say one. I mean, challenge is great, but not for all situations, not for every product you sell. So understanding those is good. But I actually think that what I've always been is very methodical and process driven, and like the tech that helps me understand the sales and set me up for success. I used to use Salesforce using the tasks just 100% all the time. I used to live off it.
Yeah.
It wasn't for management. They didn't even know I did it, but it just helped me. And that's why when I saw SalesLoft, I was like, shit, that's good. Yeah. It was just like, okay, I understand why that's good.
I'm like fly by the seat of your pants people, or was, should I say. So I need as much help as possible when it comes to, you know, being kind of guided along the process. I can do the doing, but I think when you get to learn tips and techniques, it's only going to benefit.
I think for me, I was just so unorganized that and probably comes from university days, let's leave it there. But I think it was my being unorganized and not remembering much of what I needed to do. I just needed a process. And I did, when I joined LinkedIn, we did the time management thing called Getting Things Done by David Allen. And I live by it. And if I come in and I've got over 50 emails, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to have certain structures in place. And that's what I was like as a salesperson as well.
So do you do like time boxing and things like that to make sure you've got the right time allocation?
I block out time, but I try have 0 emails in my inbox, and I have my tasks open, and I have projects that I work on, and I just follow the David Allen process in G Suite, and it makes my life a lot easier. And if it doesn't, if I'm behind, my life falls apart. Terrible.
Do you coach that with your teams as well?
I did a session with them about 3 weeks ago because I kept hearing I'm struggling to keep up with things. I'm struggling with my time management and prioritization. And so, yeah, I coached them on it, and it was up to them whether they use it. I'm not saying, right, you've all got to use this. It's down to themselves. Yeah, I mean, I've got one person who's very much, he does do time blocking and uses Pomodoro technique. So I got people do that, but as long as you understand the process that helps you structure your time, I think it's a healthy thing. But if people don't want to do it, it's fine. Some people are great at it without it.
Great. So the other point, or the next point I'd like to move on to is really around persistence and the importance of that. So what's your take on it? Because again, the product is really great for keeping you on task. We know that in the modern buying environment, the number of touch points is probably getting higher. In my experience, it's not getting any less. So what do you see as the value of persistence, and how do you keep motivated to stay at it?
I'm a stubborn bastard. When I was younger, I played a lot of sport, and I think that, and I'm not saying anything about people that are sporty, because I think that everyone's different, etc. What it taught me was just that persistence mattered, and I played tennis and cricket at a competitive level, and you've just got to be persistent at doing those kind of things. You don't give up halfway through. Then when you go door to door, you've got to be persistent at that, because it does get to 7 o'clock in the evening, peeing down and dark, and you've not sold anything, but you're only going to earn money if you sell cards. So, I mean, persistence is so important. And what we do know, you probably heard this, most salespeople give up after 4 or 5 efforts.
Yeah.
4 to 6. Whereas the highest rate of response is at 14 touches.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're miles away. So it shows that persistence pays off. And it's not just banging away at a brick wall and not being thoughtful of your message. But I mean, persistence is a massive thing that is very, very important, but you can't just think about it in a nonsensical way that just continuously sending the same email. You've got to be a bit more creative with it, and it will pay off with the persistence.
So what would you say are you must get a lot of data from a lot of sales activity. What advice would you give us as the most effective methods at the minute for reaching prospects authentically?
I mean, personalization is key. The product obviously is really there to automate and make people more efficient, to reduce the bits that you're not adding value. Yeah. So the actual admin work, if you can take that out and say that your Salesforce did a report, 60% of a salesperson's time is spent doing non-selling activity. Yeah. Over 25% of that, around 25% of that is purely admin. If we can actually reduce that or get rid of it and give you a 25% of your time back to be actually doing the bits of the sales process that add value, and that includes personalization. I mean, I get contacted just to be sold to quite a lot. And
I called you.
Yeah, well, it was very well done. You must have been using a great tool to do it. So I get cold called a lot, and I get, even if I'm not interested in what they do, if they've taken the time to actually personalize the message and said, I've watched one of your videos, or you know someone at LinkedIn or whatever it is, then I at least go back to them. If someone sends, I mean, there's 2 things I look for in that first message is, and I'm I'm saying this, I'm just going to get spammed by everybody now. I'm literally opening a door for people to contact me.
This is the secret recipe of how to sell to Ollie Sharpe. So
Exactly. Yeah, cut this bit out when you. No, it's. But I want to understand what they're approaching me about. Okay, I'm just.
Quickly.
I'm a northerner. I don't want to hear strategic BS that just is like I'm sat there going, I'm not a clue.
Yeah.
I want to hear it's a tool, it does this and it's going to help you do this.
Yeah.
That's fine by me. And by the way, I looked at your video and it does this.
Yeah.
At least I will respond to them, even if it's looks great, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I look for a meeting with them all, but that level of personalization and research is so important. The bar to get people coming back, whatever you're selling, is getting higher and higher. And it's about building the trust with people and really showing that you're offering a good experience rather than just trying to sell.
Yeah. So what advice would you, so are you still seeing what you would describe as just poor sales practice at the minute based on the, the inbound that you get? How do you think the industry is evolving? How do we all as sales professionals try and optimize and get better at what we do?
That's a huge question. I mean, there's lots of things about the industry that I think need to develop, and the main two things are the diversity within the industry and also the looking after the mental well-being in the industry. When it comes to individuals, I think that sales has become more where it's about building trust.
Yeah.
And it's no longer, it's in the old days, I think it used to be more how many calls did you make?
Yeah.
And it's the mentality of 100 doors, 10 people will answer sort of thing. You should be seeking to offer the best experience for the people you are contacting. You should be looking to build trust with them and be a true business advisor. It's not bad to sometimes say, actually, our product is not right for you because it's not. And doing that right thing, we used to talk about this when I was at LinkedIn when we're talking to companies, because people talk and share their experiences more now because they have platforms to do it than ever before, whether it's on G2, whether it's on social media or whatever. If you provide a bad experience, if you sell something that they shouldn't be buying or anything like that, you're actually doing, just for one deal, you're doing more harm than good.
Yeah.
So what we should be doing is looking to be those business advisors that we are helping them to achieve their business outcome that they want, rather than thinking about how do I sell my product to them.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's a democratization where previously the salesperson would own most of the knowledge, wouldn't they? Where it's probably the opposite way around now. The way that I would say it is we're just the lubrication to help help them understand whether it is right or not, because the information is out there. So I know I would completely agree that to optimize, or I try and think about it in every interaction that I have, it's like, how am I helping them just learn more in this instance, rather than am I trying to actually make a transaction?
Yeah, I mean, you need to understand their needs and their pains and do it properly, rather than just go in there and ram your product down someone's throat, because I don't think that's the right way to do it.
No, I would agree. So what's the future holding for EMEA SalesLoft? Tell me about your plans. What's happening?
Grow. And I mean, it's fast moving. It's hard for me to say we want to be X by this time and stuff like that. It's we've had success so far. I want to make sure that we grow and retain the culture we have, because that's really important to me. And culture changes as you grow, but it doesn't mean that it has to get negative. And continue the growth. We've always concentrated on making sure that EMEA is not just a satellite sales office where we go, we're now in EMEA, we're selling to you, but you can deal back with the US. So we're building out the professional services team, the customer success. We've already got people here, etc. Technical support. So just continued growth. And what's next? We don't know. We don't know if it's more another office in EMEA or whether it's into APAC. I think lockdowns put a bit of it's not put a hold on our growth. It's just it's just grow what you've got and look after your clients. So world domination, EMEA domination, should we say, but just continue to grow. And to be honest with you, just keep enjoying myself. That's the most important thing.
Do you love it?
I do. I mean,
you couldn't say what you don't.
We're being recorded. I'll tell you later how bad it is. Yeah. No, I did a lot of thinking in my past job because I wanted, I realized I wasn't happy. And it comes back to this purpose kind of thing and what your passion is. And me and my wife have a pact that we will only do things in life that we really enjoy and what make us happy. And there's research that shows that happy people are more successful. People think that successful people are happy. It's the other way around. And there's a book behind me, Happiness Advantage, which shows that. And when I was at LinkedIn, when LinkedIn had got quite big, I was like, okay, I don't feel the same passion anymore. And I realized, I read a really good book that talks about all of this. And I realized I love the creativity side, helping others and creating a go-to-market, a culture, all these kind of things. And I found the job that delivered that helped me do those every day. And I look forward to coming to work. I look forward to spending time with my team. I love my team and doing my job, creating the go-to-market and recruiting people. Yeah, I love it.
Brilliant. So how do you then help optimize your team's happiness if that's your driver? What are your tips for aspiring sales leaders when it comes to having a team of happy and productive sellers?
Be thoughtful. I like mindful leadership. I think that at LinkedIn, it's they always taught you about being empathetic to team, and I learned so much there. And it's about keeping your team happy. Is not, I say, it's not about them just earning money. So I think that mindful leadership, always being in the presence, making sure that everybody is heard and feels heard. There's a great term that they use about equanimity, called equanimity, which is about making sure that you're always the balanced person within the room. And I've had managers before that 1 minute they're so happy, next minute they're so mad. And there's just certain things that you can take from compassionate leadership and mindful leadership that I believe. And also, there's a book, servant leadership.
Yeah.
And all of those three together is about looking after your people and understanding them, what they want, always being present for them. And I honestly believe it makes a massive difference when you look at, and all I did was think about, what do I want from a manager? When have I performed well? It's when someone's trusted me and given me time, the support I need and stuff, and not just being about my number. Yeah. I've hit my number when I've been happy, and that's where I concentrate my efforts.
There is a direct correlation, or in my experience anyway, when I've been at my happiest, the performance has always been strong. So it just makes absolute sense. But sales leadership is it's a difficult role. What would you say is, if you could give 3 top tips beyond those, what would you say? If someone's, because what I typically find interviewing salespeople is a lot of them, especially early on, hate the idea of moving into a leadership role, looking after other people. What would you say are the best routes to get into it, and why should you get into it?
Oh, I don't think leadership is for everybody. I really don't. And it's the way that I was too selfish before, and I wasn't right for leadership. What made me change was when I was at LinkedIn, when we opened the Amsterdam office and then the Nordics office. I spent a lot of time helping them set up in regards to helping the salespeople learn, etc. So it wasn't a leadership role, but I was helping other people learn, which was sort of and I realized that I was actually getting more enjoyment from seeing those people succeed than I was really my own success. And that's what made me realize that actually leadership is for me. And I mean, I messed up so much when I went into leadership. It's one of those things that it's different to what you think it's going to be. Yeah. Really believe it. I mean, it's talking about on an interview yesterday about this. I think that it's easy to go, yeah, I'm in leadership. I'm going to leadership because I know best. And I know the answer to everything. That's what you think as a salesperson. You go, yeah, I'm good. And that's not the case. You should be going into leadership because you can. People want to follow you as a leader, and that means you open your mind to listen to everyone else and everyone else's ideas, because that's what makes people follow somebody and makes someone a good leader.
Why do you think then that you'll be familiar with this in a few different scenarios, that typically people get promoted into those roles based on revenue performance, not necessarily the actual innate qualities that make them a good leader, what
Yep.
do you think that is?
Why? I think it's stupid. I don't think it should. I mean, there's nothing to say that your number one person won't be a good leader.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to say your number one person will be a good leader. I mean, at least they know how to sell. But you could have someone that just is on their own the whole time. I think it's. I'm referring to LinkedIn a lot. It's just because I learned a lot of LinkedIn. We used to judge people on leadership, leverage, and results. Results was, are they successful? Leverage is, once they know something, can they 10x it and share it with others and help others learn? And leadership is not necessarily management, but leadership. Can you work with others and lead others to achieve a common goal? So as a team, I've got a project, I want to achieve this. Let's all do this together. That shows your leadership capability. And that helped us understand, will that person be good at leadership? Because we look at all three of them. Yeah. If they're missing one of them, chances are, I mean, I would rather take someone that scores highly at leadership and leverage and slightly less on results to be a leader than I would someone higher on results and less on the other two.
Brilliant. Well, I think we've covered quite a lot of ground. Is there anything else that you'd like to raise or you think would be valuable for the people that are watching?
No, I think just returning back to what makes me happy in my job is knowing what my purpose or what my values are and what my purpose is. And I think that I think that's so important to enjoy. It's more important to enjoy what you do every day. And someone's purpose and stuff may be that they just want to earn as much money as possible. That's fine. I'm not saying it's not fine.
Yes.
But really understand yourself to work out what is the thing that keeps you happy and keeps you can't wait to get to work. Because once you find a job where you're in a company doing a job you enjoy, it's like the Japanese talk about ikigai, which is just like it's the work-life balance. There's no difference between work and life because you enjoy both of it. That's how I see it. And I think the sooner people can understand that, then they're in a better place. I think that's all I'd say.
Perfect. Well, from knocking on 100 doors to, sage leadership advice. I really, really appreciate your time in doing this first Outcomes of Ambition. We'll be following up with videos every couple of weeks. It's not just going to be leadership focused. We'll also focus on contributor material to help everyone get better. So really thanks for watching. Thanks to Ollie for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for listening to me and the invite. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks. Bye.